Hey, Heal Squad, we present part 2 of our interview with Dr. Kim DeRamo from MindBody TV. On this episode, we cover a more in-depth way of tapping, how to help loved ones tap their way to their truth, the best means to support the emotional needs of your children, and how it's 10 times harder to learn something you already learned, but we're going to find out it's not impossible. All that and more in part 2 with our interview with Dr. Kim DeRamo. Hey, Heal Squad with Maria Menounos fans. Well, yeah, you heard this voice and you know you're not today going to have Maria Menounos. You have Mr. Maria Menounos coming in with part 2 of my interview with Dr. Kim DeRamo, one of my very dear friends, a physician, and the host of MindBody TV. If you like Joe Dispenza, you're going to love Dr. Kim. And I'm not just saying that because she's my friend. By the way, fellow Bostonian, Dr. Kim, from the Rose, right? From the Rose?
That's right, Melrose.
Melrose. What was your team in high school?
The Red Raiders.
The Red Raiders. Got it. And who was your rival?
So I went to Nazareth Academy, which was an all-girls Catholic
I remember that.
school.
Yeah, right
so
where you belong.
I'm not really sure about the Red Raiders rival, but I was over here in a different...
I remember hearing about Nazareth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and then there was, God, this is Heal Squad, not Regular Guy Friday, or else I would be talking about Malden Catholic, Arlington Catholic.
Those are all my guys.
Right? All of the whole, all the whole world.
My boyfriend was from Malden Catholic.
Look at that.
M&C.
And how do you work out?
You know, he's a great guy. We still are friends. A wonderful person.
I know something about Boston. Just saying. So we're continuing with our amazing conversation from yesterday. And it's funny, as soon as the camera goes off, and every time I just talk to you, Kim, I'm like, oh my God. I get so overwhelmed with all the great information that you give us. And I have a bunch of notes here, and I know we're going to talk about, well, I guess we could get right into, we were talking about the tapping, and when you take someone through the art form of tapping or the healing practice of tapping, yes, we can all do it ourselves, and I think it's great, but when you do it with somebody, you're able to reveal the traumas and the things going on, and I'm a big believer in with that awareness, you're halfway there. If you're halfway, when you are aware why you're being triggered, why you're being traumatized, you're halfway to resolving it. So the thing is, how do we find a Dr. Kim that can help us through that? Or if we're the parent or the friend, how do we help someone else tap their way through the pain?
That's 3 things. So my work is all about Be Your Own Healer. That's the name of the second book that's coming out this fall, Be Your Own Healer. And so finding ways, yes and, right? Great, find people you can work with, but you got to find a way, how can I be my own healer and connect with my body in a way that allows the healing to happen? And so tuning in, whatever's going on in the symptoms, tuning into what's underneath the symptoms is all about presence and awareness. So just like we talked about earlier, soft body, where's my awareness? Get it inside your body. So when people do this, they'll first really not be aware of much and think, I'm broken, I'm doing it wrong. Just give yourself, your brain will recalibrate to begin to pay attention to that kind of information. It just takes a few days or weeks of using that tool every day of, hey body, here we are. Bring your awareness to your body. Soft body, as soon as you soften and release tension, you have more sensation, not less, more brain activity of registering what's happening in your body, not less. And the other thing is, when you want to advocate for your kid or someone you love, you still have to start here. So sometimes people
What's
go
here?
In your body, with yourself.
Got
I'm
it.
Connected in my body, present. That's the only place you're going to get
you're
clarity.
telling the child or the friend, let's get connected to our body.
So say you've got a kid and they've got panic disorder, anxiety attack, depression, suicidality. A lot of this is going on, and parents will be in their own fear and powerlessness. What do I do? What do I do?
Of course.
And they're actually disconnecting from themselves, meaning they're less present in their own body, less present to their own emotions and their own even just physical sensations. But the conundrum about that is you're less connected to your wisdom, your insight, and your clarity. And so it's a really tough thing to do because as a parent, like you do get really scared and you do want so much for your kid, or maybe you feel guilty, like, did I miss something here? Did I do something that caused this? You gotta soften, be loving and compassionate with yourself and bring your presence back to your own body, because that's where your clarity is gonna come in, that's where your intuition is gonna come in, that's where the insight of like, wait a minute, here's the one thing we can do. And when I look at, like we were talking about before, a conundrum patient is my favorite thing because they've been to 25 doctors, they got 6 neurologists, and most of these people, like in Boston, the mecca of the universe for medicine, and nothing is helping. And that's when I'm like, ding, 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 we can find this. Because you've got to look with a different eye, a different awareness. And so what I'll look at isn't just that one patient, but look at what's around them. There's other people around them trying to figure it out, and the energy has to go somewhere. And we think we're separate from each other. So you're like, well, that's the patient. He's got the problem. This has nothing to do with me. But actually, we're all connected. So I had this elderly woman, she kept falling over and over, and her electrolytes were off, and they kept trying to hydrate her, but it actually threw the electrolytes off more because now she didn't have enough sodium. She hit her head. There were all kinds of like one problem after another. Now she's having diarrhea. And it was like when I tuned into, because they called me for help with this patient, when I tuned into it, it was like, there's nothing, like I couldn't find the nugget. Like, so I always look, wait, where do I need to look? And it was immediately like the daughter, who was my friend's mother, who was really the caretaker of this, her mother. And as soon as I went there, her system was like super ball of stress, very chaotic, very disconnected. And we ended up doing some work with her, and she was like a whole different physiology, a whole different alignment.
With the
daughter of the patient.
Got it.
Who didn't, she's been trying to take care of this woman, and she's like overwhelmed.
So as an outsider, you were able to deduce, which I think any of us could, mortals like me.
Yeah.
You could see that and now to realize that
I realized that the
daughter's
problem,
energy is.
You realize that the problem can be corrected over here. That allows the clarity, the insight, and the healing to come over here.
Okay.
And so it wasn't like she was doing anything wrong, and it wasn't the problem is this, because we make ourselves wrong all the time, especially as a parent. It's, all right, where can the energy move? And we moved the energy for her. She got connected in her body, released a ton of fear, a ton of lack mentality, of overwhelmed, and I got to do it all myself. And when we realigned her body, the patient got better.
Was it because the daughter now had the clarity to have breakthroughs for the?
So you sometimes have that they have this insight or breakthrough. Oh, wait a minute, we just got to make this tweak. In this case, that isn't what happened. The mother's system just responded. We are actually all just energy. We do affect each other physiologically. Yes. The diarrhea stopped. The dizziness stopped. She didn't have any more falls.
Wow.
So her system rebalanced. Her physiology rebalanced. Her electrolytes rebalanced. She no longer had that low sodium and her electrolytes being off. So yeah, your body can heal itself and recalibrate, but if you got this stress ball of energy over here, it's kind of actually affecting your nervous system and your physiology in significant ways.
So if you're a parent, you're connected to your child.
Yes.
So if you're freezing up and being all scared and stressed,
they're taking on your anxiety.
Oh boy.
But that's the thing you do is you make yourself wrong, and now you can't really release the problem because you're like,
okay.
I gotta let go of my anxiety. Versus like, oh, wait a minute. Who could I be? How could I be with myself and my body 2% more loving, 2% more generous as a parent? Because whoever you are as a parent, you've done a good job. The kid's alive. You've got this being who's...
Well, and you care that much. You're clearly, if you're that stressed and have that much anxiety, it's because you care.
It's because you care.
You love, your baby that much.
So it's a tweak of how could I be 2% more loving, forgiving, kind with myself right now. That will immediately shift your electromagnetic fields, which is the frequency you're in, and it will immediately shift your physiology and your brain functioning. That's where the big insights come, not only that you're now a different vibration and your kid feels you so strongly, like more than anybody else in their life, your kid feels you. But it also allows you to have your own awareness of oh my gosh, wait a minute. What if we just make this tweak in his diet? Like sometimes you have this divine inspiration and you don't even know why, but it's like ding, 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 ding. Yep, I know that I know. Here's the thing, we're going to do this. Versus the chaotic functioning of like, maybe we'll change the diet. Maybe it just needs more selenium. And you're like schizophrenically trying to find a solution from a consciousness where you're never going to find it.
So it's a person being able to take that break. So it's basically the ABC again.
100%.
Awareness.
Yeah.
Just remind us from episode 1.
Awareness.
Yeah.
I'm aware, bringing my awareness into my body versus scattered out there, worrying about him. What do I need to do with thoughts and beliefs? Okay, body, here we are. Shift your breathing, shifts your physiology, shifts your brain state, turns off that fight or flight, gets you into the parasympathetic nervous system. Was not just about your physiology. Now your body's doing the healing response. It's also about your brain state. You'll have these sudden ideas and inspiration you would have never had in the fight or flight brain state, where you're not receptive to new inspiration and new insights and new ideas. Like you talked about before, the people who are resistant to a new idea and they're like throwing stuff at you because it's shattering their foundation of what they believe. Well, when we're in fight or flight, we feel very threatened by new ideas and new information. So you got to shift your physiology and your brain state.
So you're not in fight or flight.
So you're not in
you can
fight or
receive new
flight.
information.
Yep, and now you're in that, in the breathing, a parasympathetic breathing down to your belly. And then the third part is conscious choice. And as a parent, you could just ask, breathe into your heart, what else is possible here? You might get awareness right away. It might occur over the next day, but practice the tool to stay present. You're a receptor, and you let that awareness in.
Okay. As far as tapping goes, and having some of these breakthroughs be revealed through tapping, I know tapping is a way to calm you and get you, and to bring you to a better place. But in episode 1, you were talking about how you literally tapped a child into a revelation of what was going on in their lives. Yep. So, is there a way that a lay person can do that with someone else? Or can you do it for yourself?
Yes.
You can. You can actually tap your way into the breakthrough?
Yes. You can tap for someone else too, but you're actually tapping on this system right here. This is the only one you can tap for, and it's truly miraculous what kinds of things happen for other people in your life.
So you're tapping your own system?
Yes.
No.
So it's a kind of a 3-step. Physical, mental, emotional. No. Physical, mental, emotional. So you're going to start with the physical symptoms. So I get this back pain. I once had this guy come in with very, very severe, debilitating back pain. Couldn't do his activities anymore. He was an avid biker. Now he has to tell his friends, I can't be doing this anymore. He's on narcotics. He's seeing my colleague who was an acupuncturist, and it wasn't getting any better. And she's like, you know what? I think you should see Dr. Kim Duramo. So he comes to see me, and he said, well, I know you can't make my back pain go away, but maybe you can just help me deal with it. And the first thing I said to him is, what if we could make it go away? Would you be okay with that? Because you don't realize, sometimes you're trying to help people do something they aren't actually consciously on board to do.
I deal with that all the time. In my business, is they're not consciously on board. They ask for the help, but then when they reveal themselves with statements like that, they're not consciously on board.
You got to get them on board. You got to ask, and if it's a yes, we're going to go forward. If it's not, there's some things you can do to...
How did he respond when you asked him?
He laughed because he suddenly realized what he was doing. And he said, yeah, I'd be open to that. And so I had recently, this was like 13 or 14 years ago, learned about EFT meridian tapping, emotional freedom technique, how you can unpattern that link between the emotional and the tension and physiology and fight or flight nervous system that it then stimulates. So you're going to uncouple these. You have your emotion and it moves through fluidly. It doesn't have to get glitched in there and create all that toxicity. And so I was like, clearly this guy, we're going to use this. There's some ideas he has about what's going on. This is going to be forever. And he has some emotions he's not aware of that are keeping things in place. And when I've seen people with chronic pain syndromes, chronic fatigue, chronic illness that's not getting better no matter what they do, there are emotional associations keeping that physiology stuck.
And so, so someone like me, who's, gets tired very often these days, I would tap the certain places.
Yes. So I'll show you the points, but you would look at physical. Okay, what does it feel like? Right. So if it's pain, okay, it's my low back, it's the left side, it's sharp, it's been 5 years, it comes and goes, it's worse in the morning. Think of all the physical.
Exhaustion.
Yeah. So we're going to look at exhaustion. There's a quality to it, though. It's like an oppression or a heaviness or a dread, or you're going to feel into the quality of like, what am I feeling? Heaviness. Yeah. Then once you do some tapping on that, you can go to the next level. He kind of needed to do a couple rounds before he could get to any underlying emotions or other associated things. For you, we'll go right there. There's also a sense of, because you do so much for others, you don't have time for this fatigue. It's an annoyance. It's a nuisance. It's getting in the way. It's stopping me from where I want to go. Yeah. So there's that layer. So we can tap on that. Those are thoughts. Those are beliefs, right? There's sensations like, oh, I feel obliged to help others, and I feel like a loser if I'm not, I got to get off my butt. You know, there's thoughts and beliefs. Once we get to that layer, people will kind of, the same thing, they'll laugh and realize, whoa, yeah, I do think that. Because now the thoughts go from the unconscious to the conscious. And we don't know, we wouldn't consciously tell ourselves that.
So I'm going to think of how I feel about being exhausted. Mm-hmm. And then I'm physically tapping and talking about that, how I feel?
Yes, so you'll first start with the physical. I'm so lethargic. I feel so heavy and tired. Oh, I just want to curl up in a ball.
And again, so if you're in audio, I'm tapping 2 fingers, on each hand,
inner
and I'm tapping above my
So
eyebrow.
It's the inner eyebrow, right at the point between the nose and the eyebrow.
Okay.
And then the outer eyebrow on that bony ridge at the edge of the outer eyebrow.
Got it.
And the next one is right underneath the eye on that bone under the eye. Just gently tapping the finger pads. Underneath the nose, right in the center. And you can soften your shoulders as you tap, breathe in and out. You're giving your nervous system new information to turn off fight or flight. Middle of the chin. Breathing in and out, underneath the collarbones, like that soft little space, just soften. Even if all you do is, I see you body, I feel you, I acknowledge what I feel, and I'm tapping and breathing. Underneath the arm, right at that spleen point, so like bra level, and then on top of the head, right at the center on top of the head. Breathing in, breathing out. So you're going to tap these points while you pay attention to what you're feeling. And people will say, but you're focusing on the negative. We want to not focus on the negative. No, you're neutralizing the negative. You're neutralizing the stimulus, whether it's that physical sensation of the heaviness, the fatigue, or the pain, or it's the thought. Oh my gosh, it's not getting better. What am I going to do? I'm worried, right? An emotion or a thought. You're not instilling the negative, you're neutralizing it.
Got it. Okay. And what am I saying out loud as I'm doing it?
So you're noticing what you're noticing, right? The truth will set you free. You want to heal, you got to speak the truth. Not, oh, I feel good, everything's good, and cover up the truth. Oh, wow, I'm just going to acknowledge I actually feel horrible. It's okay to acknowledge what I'm feeling.
Okay, so when I see tapping videos online, whatever, they're tapping, but they're saying these positive affirmations.
You can let positive affirmations in once you've discharged what's here. You've got to let the system acknowledge what's here first. So this is the biggest difference from how I do tapping and how I've seen others do tapping. You've got to acknowledge what's here. So we are tapping to nurture the body. We're not tapping to fix your symptoms. We're not tapping to make you have energy, make the fatigue go away. Oh, make it go away. No. You can get some results with that. But if you want to truly allow profound, unthinkable healing, you've got to tap on what's here now and neutralize what's here now. So we're actually welcoming the fatigue. It's okay for me to feel as tired as I feel. And you're letting the nervous system recalibrate to that. It's okay for me to feel as angry as I feel, because what you resist persists, and it's the resistance that creates that inflammation and toxicity in the body.
Got it. Okay, so I'm feeling through it. And then, then am I asking questions?
Okay, so there's, I kind of have a little tapping sandwich. We got like the negative, quote unquote. You're gonna just tap on whatever the pain is, whatever the unwanted, even if it's your relationship. Oh my God, this person's driving me crazy. And that first round or two, you don't have to be conscious of anything. Like, let that come. Just tap on what you are aware of. I don't know why I'm so mad. Maybe there's a pattern here. Okay, so the first one is just neutralize the negative, the physical sensations, maybe the thoughts, oh, I just can't stand this, or any emotions you are aware of. The second part, after you've kind of neutralized the negative, is the middle, where it's like, question mark, wait a minute. We teach this in my instant elevation program, so people can learn this for themselves. And it's the question mark is like, wait a minute, I wonder what this is really about. Is there a pattern here? I think I do get angry all the time. Is there a pattern here? There have also been other kinds of people just like her that trigger me. Is there a pattern here? So curiosity is kind of that midway. That actually allows the nervous system to begin to receive, to open to receive new information, which would be that positive affirmation. But you can't put ice cream on top of poop. You're in excruciating pain and you're like, I have ideal health, everything's okay. Your nervous system hasn't been primed to let that information in.
Makes sense.
And so the third part of that sandwich then is the positive.
After we've gone through the curious and okay, that actually makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Interesting. We were talking about children as well.
Yeah.
And right, going back to being a parent, and I know, and by the way, I'm not even doing this for a plug, because actually I want to get into this. I have a 11-month-old daughter. The MindBody Kids playlist that you have.
Yes, on my YouTube channel, there's a playlist, MindBody Kids, where, it's resources for kids who, I'd say adults, 14 and older could do their own self-tapping just like an adult. The younger kids, there are some resources that are really simple, like my, 4, when he would start using the butterfly tool. You're just helping sync right and left brain.
Okay, butterfly tool, again, for an audio, you're crossing your arms over.
You're crossing your arms over your shoulders.
Yes.
Tap, 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 one and then the other.
And you do this with your child.
You can have your child do this on themselves.
Oh.
So they're regulating their own nervous system, noticing what's coming up for them, right? I'm so mad, mommy, or whatever. Somebody did something, and you help them take a few deep breaths and do the butterfly technique to regulate.
You do it with your son?
I have, yes.
Yeah,
I've done with a lot of little kids.
And it works?
Yes, it works, and there's a lot of science demonstrating what is happening between the right and left brain and the regulation of the nervous system with emotional stimulus. Basically, it's helping you digest the experience, because you might think like, well, that doesn't matter, you're only 3, but everything happening to them is very significant.
I've heard, especially 0 to 3 or 0 to 6, right?
Yes,
Isn't it the most formative?
Your brain is still forming, your self-identity is forming, and you're like a sponge to everything someone says. And so, especially with the parents, but also with like other kids, it can really hurt. They can hurt each other, and those relationships are significant.
I'm glad you said that. So, Dwayne, can we roll in this video? Dr. Gabor Mate has this great video about parenting that I want to get your thoughts on.
Culture. Children lose their attachment to their parents because they don't see them the whole day, and they're lost. And so that their brains say, well, the parents are not here. Who should I attach to? They attach to the peer groups. And then we promote this with play dates and all this kind of stuff. And so basically, gradually but very inexorably, children's attachment needs are transferred from adults to each other, and now the game is lost. Because now you have immature creatures influencing each other when they should be under the influence of the parents. This culture doesn't understand attachment. We've lost the plot. And so much of the parenting advice that people get run counter to the child's attachment needs.
Dr. Kim, your thoughts?
Also, dysregulated parents that are influencing them, because their peers who obviously are not going to be the best learning, maturing environment, but also dysregulated parents that even when you are with your kids, you're not in a regulated state of your own well-being, and that you can't make yourself wrong for this. We're like really in a frenetic society, so you've got to get that layer off of your parenting, because where you've been in your own chaos. You didn't learn how to be in self-love, so you can't blame yourself. It's what is, and you can change it going forward to be in a space of your own well-being. Body, here I am, I'm sorry. We've been in a hard place. I love you. Your body can let go of your old undigested emotions, and you're going to be an amazing healing presence for your child.
But I think it seems like it starts with spending more time. Maybe.
Yes,
I think it's
and presence.
Presence, right? Unless maybe, because I know the activities are great and all, but I feel like we overbook with activities.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I'm a dad of 11 months, so but I'm trying to study and learn.
Yeah, and the more we are present with ourselves and present with our kid, it's like the most powerful medicine. And then you think of all these kids with severe, not only anxiety, depression, suicidality, but major crazy medical problems that you're like, kid shouldn't be type 2 diabetic and overweight and morbid obesity and on multiple medications, and what's going on here? This is really essential medicine, is your presence. It doesn't have to be a ton of time, but what we do is, we'll put them in their activity so we can be in our overstimulating activity, and then we're with them in these like transition periods, but we're not actually with them. We're not fully with ourselves. We're not really with them, so they're lacking that medicine.
I feel like that's almost epidemic. Right, and we're also busy and overwhelmed, and we're on our phones.
Yes, and I will say does not take much to resolve that. It does not take much. You don't have to reinvent your life, and now you have no job, and I don't know, live on a farm. You can do that 2% shift of whoa. I can see what this has created. I'm gonna be different with myself, right? So maybe you just make a little 10-minute play date with your kid, and you're like, let me get here now in my body. No, it doesn't mean you have to get good. I feel good. I can just feel what I feel. I kind of feel tired. I feel heavy, but I'm present. I'm gonna notice what I feel and welcome it. Now there's more awareness in my body, right? First part of that instant elevation tool. There's more healing presence in my body. There's more activation in my body. That's what's medicine to your kid. And then you have, even if it's only 10 minutes, but do it in a conscious way of who am I gonna be showing up in that 10 minutes.
You mentioned this 2%, you keep saying this 2%. To me, it's so aspirational, meaning all I have to do is just be 2% better, right? At whatever it is.
That 2% internal is a quantum shift, is an exponential physiologic shift, is an exponential shift in your brainwave patterning. It's an exponential shift in that outer reality. And yeah, it can be that simple. See, we'll have this fear, anxiety, overwhelm, and then I'm telling you this stuff, and now you feel guilty. But if you remember, oh, wait a minute, I can welcome that I've been so overwhelmed. I can welcome, maybe I haven't done it the most conscious way. That's a quantum shift, right? I feel anxious, overwhelmed, totally like, but I'm aware and I'm willing to feel what I feel. Is a quantum shift beyond suppressing everything, right? I gotta get better, I gotta get better. And there's just tension. Massive shift in your vibrational frequency, massive shift in your consciousness.
I feel like I've had much more success when I've released from the attachment to the outcome and just been present and just been, not so intense and it's gotta happen. It's just like, hey, so I think it makes sense with health too.
Well, for me, like I've had to do that same thing because now my outcome becomes being self-regulated, or my outcome becomes get to a higher frequency. Like that's the same thing. You have to release attachment to that. And that's really, I used to have severe anxiety and panic disorder when I was a young kid. And this was way before you had words for that. Like now everybody is like, I'm so anxious. So I had to learn from my body because they would try to put me on medication after medication. And it just was like, this is definitely not going to work. And I don't even know how to tell these guys what we're really dealing with here because I knew my system. I didn't know what to do. But I knew it's like, you got to get this handled or the game is over. So I learned to listen to my breathing. I learned to feel and sense my body and let my body give me that feedback. It was like an inner biofeedback mechanism, but it showed me, hey, when I breathe like this, I don't spiral into panic. Oh, when I think these thoughts, when I bring my attention into my body, the whole thing dissolves.
Dissolves, so then we can go to the Burlington Mall and go to Macy's and shop for our summer wardrobe. Right, Gemma?
Yeah, of course.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I
who
need
it's-
that more.
We're meant to enjoy our lives, you know, we're meant to enjoy the people in our lives, and we're meant to get out but to go out and about, and even shopping, right? You're gonna do it from a frenetic, I'm so disconnected with myself. Now it's like, I need retail therapy, but it's really a quick fix that's not gonna get you anywhere.
Right.
Versus like we are talking about, we have an amazing time together.
So
We
when
can
you go
enjoy it.
shopping, it actually makes sense. You're right, because the retail therapy, it's more like frenetic, and then you maybe, who knows, feel guilty after or
Yeah.
tired.
Yeah.
But I think when you're more connected, then it's
A joyful experience.
you're going. So so again, I'm just doing a little shout out to Macy's, but I'm also speaking from truth. Like, I love the fact we talked in part one that Gemma goes with your mother, her grandmother. They have their experiences. They go to Macy's and they
Meaningful
shop.
memories.
Meaningful
Real
memories.
connection, love, joy.
Right.
Totally different frequency from retail therapy escape. Hey, let's enjoy this. Can I enjoy even when you go to Macy's, right, you got the mirror and you're like, oh no, I look fat. I don't know about this. Look in the mirror, celebrate your body. I love you, body. And then get a color you like. I love this color. And celebrate your body with that color. We got like new summer stuff coming out. I'm sure people are transitioning their
It's
wardrobe.
the summer, yeah. Gemma, just so excited. Wait, how old is your mom?
Well,
Mrs. Durama. Oh, she doesn't want to say.
She's gonna be about 80, right? She is
But
so
she's a
gorgeous.
young
She's like
80,
a
right?
60-year-old
Yeah, yeah.
on the tennis court every day, on the golf course.
She's not a grandma, she's a grandma.
A glamour.
A grandma.
I love it. And so, okay. And so is it the Colorado Macy's you guys will go to? The one?
Well, we're in Durango, so we go to
Durango.
Boston,
Oh, since your
and
Boston ones.
we'll head out with her and do stuff with her. That's our.
May I make a family recommendation?
Yes.
Okay, you have to. This Christmas, go to the Macy's on 34th Street, where they shot Miracle on 34th Street. You love movies, Gemma.
Oh, I love movies.
So Miracle on 34th Street, it takes place at that Macy's, and it's still parts of the store are still iconic. They're the same from what it was back in the 40s, and it's incredible. And all the lights, we do it every year to get in the spirit.
We'll go
We're
meet
doing
you.
this.
Okay.
We're doing this.
But
Yeah.
if you want to, and also, at mariamenounos.com, we have all Maria's summer picks. I know we're going to be going on vacation, hopefully, this summer. And so, Maria's got all of her summer wardrobe. I have not done it. I did my, Kim, I went and got 3 suits for my wedding and a christening or whatever. I walked into Macy's and boom, one and done. Walked right in. And then it's like, I forget, it was almost like 50 or 60% off that day randomly. So I was like, but I have to go in for Gemma. I have to go in there too.
Yeah.
I have to, like rock the dad bod.
Something for everyone.
Right.
Yeah.
Something for everyone. Okay. I want to, I feel like cancer is like 6 degrees of separation. And we talked about in part one, your experience with helping people who, when they hear stage 4, and I'll always say like, well, there's no stage 5. So it's a serious diagnosis when you hear that. But can you talk about some of your experiences that you've had in
Yes.
managing that?
I've seen people's bodies resorb the tumors that they went in to do surgery and they couldn't find the tumors they had seen on the CAT scan. I've had people I've worked with stage 4 cancer, told they had 6 months to live in excruciating pain every day, couldn't walk, resolved, walking around, built a new home 4 years later. I've had people who had diagnoses that then they went and did the rescans and there was nothing found. There are documented stories of this. I am not an anomaly seeing this. What I've seen is that it's a metabolic continuum. It's an immune system aberrancy, right? Our immune system is supposed to keep those things in check, and now these cells are overgrowing. But this is a metabolic continuum, and many really great doctors right now are studying this and independently doing the research, meaning not like a mass level of here's the industry, but looking curiously, looking at what's really going on and helping patients resolve. There's a doctor at Boston College who's very vocal about this with lots of great YouTube videos on this. We could look up the name of him. But in other doctors who are using like different kinds of compounds to assist that metabolic reversal, meaning instead of getting in that huge hyperinflammatory state, because we know cancer as well as all these other major life-threatening diseases start with a metabolic inflammatory state. How do we reverse that? How do we help the body go the other direction? And so I'm not curing cancer. I'm not going to say that.
Right.
I'm assisting that the body will do it because the body does heal itself. And that's not just some bumper sticker tagline. I've got to take that seriously. As a doctor, it's my responsibility to get very curious, to look under every stone, to never laugh at a single idea, and to look what might be the merit here, to be open-minded and not threatened by a new idea or a new perspective, always willing to adjust my worldview if I'm going to be a good advocate for my patient. Anything less than that, I'm falling short. It's my responsibility as a physician, and we've got to keep expanding the way we see the body. The body is electromagnetic. It is not purely physical. There is a quantum level of energy activity that's happening. It's sensitive to your thoughts. It's sensitive to your emotions. Of course, it's sensitive to the food you eat, the relationships that you have. So we've got to look at that metabolic process and look at what is the one thing that is going to most powerfully resolve this. And that's where I approach things. It's never 20 things. I don't care if you have 25 diagnoses. It's one thing that's going to be when we dissolve that, your body's going to take care of all of these other seemingly separate things.
And I know it's a process but it's the same techniques of the ABC.
Yep, starts with that. With everybody, people will say, well, I have glaucoma. What about this? We've seen glaucoma reverse. I have a testimonial last week.
Do you remember with my mom? And it made such sense.
Yeah.
Do you remember you met my mom
Yes,
at the christening?
she had glaucoma.
She had glaucoma, and you nailed it. You met her in 3 minutes, and you came over to me and said, Kev, this is what's going on. Do you recall?
Yes.
I hope you do, because
100%.
I don't recall why, but it was a ding, ding, ding.
It was a ding, ding, ding.
What was it?
So her energy is very much outside of herself because of fear, panic. So it will keep that energy pattern in place. I got to take care of everybody. I got to take care of everybody. So it's like she's monitoring you, and she's monitoring other people. She's monitoring your brother. Her awareness and attention is outside of her body. There's not enough of it.
And that's so
in
with
here.
glaucoma, it's the pressure on the eyeball, right?
Your physiology is going to respond to that. So there's this intense pressure, and everybody will have a little bit of a different flavor of how it manifests physically. But yes, I could read into her system exactly what was going on, and it's all this pressure in the head. Because you got to stay in your head to keep in charge of all of those things.
Well, that goes my migraines, which I don't get often, but when I get them, I get leveled. I got, and these days, if I'm around mold or damp or just whatever, dehydrated probably, I get like nailed, like bad, leveled.
You got to pull the energy down, right? But then we could like consciously do that right now, and you start focusing down in your pelvis, but it will go back to that revert programming. So like I said before, you're in your own medicine, dosed constantly 24/7. And then you do these things like, I'm going to work out my abs, or I'm going to drink green juice, or, those are like superficial things. But the medicine you're drinking every moment, 24/7, is the most potent medicine. And that has to do with your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotions.
Jim, it's still healthy to eat pistachios, though, right? Like we're not.
Oh yeah, they're wonderful.
We're not away from that, are we? No. Wonderful pistachios, everybody. Like, it's perfect to have you on, Dr. Kim. Is a Dr. Kim approved snack nice pistachios?
You're talking about molds, right?
Yes.
Peanuts have tons of molds. It's kind of like the gourmet peanut. And it's cleaner.
You know what? Maria's gonna freak out when she hears that, how good that is, because you hear that about the peanuts and the mold.
Yeah.
And right, but wonderful pistachios, to not have that. And as everyone who knows me knows that, I always have them in my bags and on hand, and especially when I travel. But what a good way to grab a healthy handful of protein. And Gemma, you were reminding me about the little snack packs that they have
Oh, yeah.
as well.
Yeah, but they go good on everything. They're good on vanilla ice cream. They're good, they're just amazing in smoothies, too. Oh, I've done that before.
I will recommend the ones without salt in your coconut yogurt. Have you ever done that?
No.
With some blueberries. It's fantastic.
I want that. I'm hungry.
So good.
Anyway, wonderful pistachios.
Well, there's minerals too. There's like selenium in them. It's not even just that protein, but there's a lot of like trace minerals, nutrients that we need. Those are great
and the
sources for.
pistachio. How about? I didn't even know that. Now, your mom will remember. Do you remember? This be an East Coast thing. We were the tail end of the pistachio ice cream generation. Do you remember? Like that was.
But it was like fluorescent green pistachio ice
Yes.
cream versus.
yeah, but it's like so, and it went away for a while. And now it's kind of back. But do you remember? Like, I'm trying to think of all the East Coast
Brighams.
Friendlies.
Friendlies.
These were the things that your mom and I grew up on.
It was pretty
It's
fluorescent
before
green.
birthday cake ice cream, which is now the new hit with the kids.
Yeah,
I'm
well, I
told.
don't like them to eat anything that's going to stain the mouth and it's still there. You're like, there's a problem here.
Okay, going through my notes. We were also talking, on the break. If you learn something one way, like you were saying, how people are when you, how human beings are when they learn something one way, and then we were talking about how I want to learn it.
Like 10 times harder to unlearn that.
And this is any kind of belief.
Yes. So doctors taught in medicine, right? Your body's purely physical. You get a physical problem. It's broken. There's a whole foundational way of perceiving disease as wrong. And so we got to override it and we got to fix it. And the body is an enemy. We're going to fight disease. That's a really strong foundation to now go and say, wait a minute, your body's your ally. Your body's on your side. Your body can heal itself. And so when we were talking about people who are resistant to new information, once you learn that foundational thing, it's 10 times harder to unlearn that and learn something new. It could be meeting a person. Oh, that's a bad person. And you have that first impression. People say all the time, you get the strongest first impression. It's that same premise. And so once we're ingrained, there's neurologic pathways that are in there. So you have all these oncologists told, oh, this is only one way to treat cancer, and you have to do this and you have to do that. And there's a huge industry around it. Now you're telling them, wait a minute, this is a metabolic continuum. And so all of these doctors I've been studying with who are successfully reversing tumors are getting pushback from oncology doctors in the system who are like, not only unwilling to look at it, but like avidly attacking them.
Yeah.
And they're like, this is an interesting thing because these doctors are saying, whoa, wait a minute, you're protesting awfully harshly here. There's a little something more than just your opinion. What's going on? Why is there so much resistance in the system? And they've started to explore this like cognitive dissonance of what is that about? And it's, usually you want to keep investing in the foundation you're currently standing on. So where's your source? Where's your money coming from? Where's your education coming from? And it's all from the same thing. And you're really vested in that. You don't want to let that go.
This also goes probably to political beliefs, right? Too. I mean, you whatever you feel extreme, you're gonna it's 10 times harder.
Yeah. But like we talked about in the last time, what if you let those triggers be an invitation for your own expansion? So in the last several years, like a lot of major political things came up. I've never been a political person. I didn't understand red, blue. Like, you guys are serious about that?
I know.
How I couldn't even fathom that people were so identified. And I started to totally get it. And I saw myself in that with my own perspective. And then it was painful. It was like, there's resistance here. Wait a minute, why am I so triggered by this? For someone to hold a belief different from mine should not feel like a threat.
Right.
Let's receive this. And I got a huge wake-up call, and it really gave me more power.
I almost feel, Kim, I feel like with the media, what the media is doing and how polarizing politics is, I feel like that's such a source of illness and that manifests. And I feel if that could be resolved, inside somebody. I mean, I worked with a therapist last week, and I think I said that. I said, I'm tired of being triggered by things I see on the news, and I Good thing I take notes in these sessions. But I forget, like, what we decided. Oh, I think it was stop looking for the things that will support any of these negative beliefs you have. The world is going to end, or, whatever it's going to be. And start instead seeking the things that support the positive side, which is like, hey, we're learning, we're growing, we'll get there together, we'll figure it out.
That what's right about this I'm not getting was what I did with it. I'm so triggered and so like digging in and whoa, what's right about this I'm not getting? Oh, things are coming to a head to show me my own clarity, that this is not serving me, that this is not, I don't want to keep moving forward into that polarization fight that I'd never, like I said, I wasn't really a part of that before.
It's so hard now because everyone expects you to be blue or red. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm purple. I'm not either. Sorry. No, you have to be. I've never seen everyone. So it's really hard.
It's the same thing we talked about before with welcome what that trigger brings up in you. It's the only one you can feel.
So I think that's the breakthrough for all of us. If you're someone who's really affected by the news and things like that, what is the trigger in you that's coming up? See, I don't have the answer myself.
Well, you can find it. Your body is always communicating with you. You can find it, but you got to listen.
Yeah, what is it?
And you got to get curious.
Okay.
Bring your presence, physical sensation. Start with physical sensation. That's the portal. Your body can only live in the now, not outside you, not in the future, the past. It can only live in the moment. And it will access you to the truth that exists in the moment. You got to feel your body. Come home.
Yeah, I'm already feeling some ideas. And then maybe when you get to that, when you do the ABC, maybe you start to tap, on the daily basis.
Oh, yeah. And you change your circuitry.
Yeah, I don't want to carry this anymore. It's not good. And it's not good around the people I'm around to be so negative about what I see in the future and all that stuff. Whereas I think it is coming to a boil. I think we did need changes. So it's a major disruption. Yeah. Right? And then obviously that's going to be messy.
Yeah.
But
waking up.
Yeah, the other side is there are things that had to be improved.
Yeah. You can't do it from a society that's not awake. You can't do it from a society that's decided to outsource their power to an authoritarian external structure, hierarchy.
So that's what's interesting. So that's so interesting because you're speaking to both sides when you said that. Right? You said like
the human.
I'm waking up.
It's the human.
Right? So
we're all human.
That's the left can respond to that, but then the right responds to don't depend on the government. So that's why. No, I'm just saying that's why it's so interesting. You're really speaking to all of us. I know, but that's what is missing. That I don't feel. That's why we have to tap this out. This is what upsets me is we don't have leadership. Yeah. A true leader would have empathy for both sides.
If you speak to the human, you are going to be speaking to everyone, quote, both sides. But if you don't, you've got to erase the chalkboard of sides and erase the chalkboard of those identities. They're false identities.
I'm doing but with you, but I'm saying, but they don't let you. But you're right. I'm going through your therapy. Yes, and I need to do instead. But.
Yeah, they don't want to, and life is awakening them through that same journey of hardship you've had, I've had, we've all had. It's working on them.
I love it. All right, let's end it on that note. Dr. Kim DeRamo, MindBody TV on YouTube. It's so great to have you be part of our lives, our journey. And everyone, you can look up her books. I know the new book's not out, but the old book, which, like I said, is like, it's my manifesto. It's the
MindBody Toolkit.
The MindBody Toolkit. It is just, I love books like that are a reference. There's other books you read once and you get a lot out of it. Great, and you're on to the next. But what I love is I can always pick that book back up. And when I open it up, whatever chapter I open to, it needs to speak to me in that moment. But there's just so many great tools in there. And but I do urge people, please, it is a journey. If you are sick, it's not something overnight that, in my experience, you're going to just, fix. But I think that, people like you, Dr. Kim, and MindBody TV and things like that, and if you buy into the process, it works. It gets better. I'm seeing it with Maria. I mean, the things she's doing with her diabetes, like needing less insulin. And she's like, oh, look at this. Yeah. So, yeah, very, very.
The physiology will change to come into who you're being.
We have to work on with Maria is she does the red light circadian rhythm. But I think that her diabetes is best controlled with her emotions, I think. And I think we have to she needs to look at that component. She works with Dr. Allison on the physical side, and I think I want her to work a little bit more with Dr. Kim on the emotional side, and Gemma too. Gemma can be part of it as well. You guys are great. I love you guys.
I love you too.
And remember to be nice people, make good choices, and stay present.
This podcast and all related content published or distributed by or on behalf of Maria Menounos or MariaMenounos.com is for informational purposes only and may include information that is general in nature and that is not specific to you. Any information or opinions expressed or contained herein are not intended to serve as or replace medical advice, nor to diagnose, prescribe, or treat any disease, condition, illness, or injury, and you should consult the healthcare professional of your choice regarding all matters concerning your health, including before beginning any exercise, weight loss, or healthcare program. If you have or suspect you may have a healthcare emergency, please contact a qualified healthcare professional for treatment. Any information or opinions provided by a guest expert or host featured within website or on company's podcast are their own, not those of Maria Menounos or the company. Accordingly, Maria Menounos and the company cannot be responsible for any results or consequences or actions you may take based on information or opinions.